Hello, this is Alexis Falo, aka Let's Go. Welcome to this module on God. Oh, that word is so charged, and today I want to talk about God, also referred to as Spirit, the universe, she of 1,000 names, goddess, etc., etc. And I also want to talk about how that word triggers people and has triggered me for many years. The reason I want to talk about this is because people often ask, well, what is Spirit Quest about? And a big part of the experience and the work I do has to do with creating a space for relationship with the sacred, with a power bigger than ourselves, no matter what you call it. And a lot of potential participants or people that I have worked with say that they desire to deepen their spirituality, deepen their relationship to spirit in a lived way, in an embodied way, not just in a intellectual thought concept about a higher power. And always there's a connection with wanting to deepen their spirituality and actually have real expansive experiences with spirit, with their own spirituality. And they also want a deeper connection with Mother Earth, and both are essentially the same, because God is a all-inclusive reference point, a word, a concept that people use that ties everything together into a whole. And as human beings, we want to be all of ourselves. We want to be given permission to be all of us, the good, the bad, the middle, all of it. So to get hung up on the concept misses the point. It points to a reality, a power much greater than we can ever fit into a concept or into an intellectual box. And a lot of issues happen when we do that. So in order to deepen our spirituality, and there's a huge donkey right above me looking down on this. Blessings, brother. So, many words in our language have been hijacked. And to give two examples, one word is God, another is prayer. So ask yourself, in your own experience of those words and those concepts, those activities, does negative associations come up? For me, when I was younger, my teens, my 20s, the word God and church and prayer created a nauseating, claustrophobic effect in my being. Why? Because those words were heavily associated with guilt and shame, and in crowds, out crowds, people that are saved and going to heaven, and those that are infidels and bad people that don't deserve unconditional love, don't deserve to be a whole human being. I don't really want to get into who's at fault for that or who hijacked. Some people call it the 1%, the elite, the societies that are that are out for power and control and money and resource, and that's all that they're out for. But I don't really want to get lost in blame games, because that just tangles you up more. We're interested in your well-being, your wholeness, your spiritual depth, your health of mind, body, emotion, spirit, intellect. So without getting into who done it, let's bring it back to ourselves, because that's how we change our world, our reality, our relationship to ourselves, starting from within, not blaming from without. So that's an important point. For whatever reason, these words and this need to worship, I believe human beings have a need to worship, whether we worship material things, spiritual things, emotional things, intellectual things, concepts, etc. That's a different story. Yet, in every human being, there's this need to worship, to be devoted to something. So, for whatever reason, some of these words, and even the word religion, which just means to link back, to connect, religio, to link back to our sense of wholeness, to our sense of well-being, safety on the planet, feeling peace in our body, in our skin, and having clarity to connect to what's important to us through intuition, through our knowing that is always here. One of the first steps to deepening our spirituality is purging the toxic programming that makes worship, devotion, prayer, the spiritual path, ridding ourselves of the toxic versions that we associate with spirituality, and creating reframe the concept of God as unconditional love source, and that we can have a direct experience of and with. Just reading a book about what God wants by Neil Donald Walsh, and he says, let's just start with God is nothing, and God is everything. God is you, God is me, God is Lake Titikaka behind me, and the mountains and the clouds and the space in between and the air. God is life, period. And so you don't need anyone to act as a middle person between you and your direct experience, felt, lived experience with the divine, with God, Goddess, Spirit. That's really important, because part of that toxic programming convinces us that we have to go through someone else to get there. And not only that, but that we have to do things in order to deserve love, to deserve unconditional love, to deserve peace, to deserve abundance, to deserve joy. No, God doesn't want anything from you other than what you desire, especially if it's in alignment with your heart, with what you actually need and desire. And so, if this supernatural, all-inclusive, all-powerful source that is God created this miracle that is Earth, and these bodies and these intellects and this emotional process, do you think God would need you to do something for him or her? We're children. We are perfectly imperfect, insecure human beings on the path. So I think it's silly to think that God needs us to do something, first of all, and that God needs us to prove our worthiness or our deservingness of living our joy and living our passion and having deeply enriching and connected relationships with other beings. Plus, we are creating our relationship to the divine. It's a very, very personal relationship, especially the kind I'm talking about where you are God. God is flowing through your veins. God is in everything. So you don't need any middle person to grant you access to life. Life is here. Life is everything. You are life. I am life. The donkey is life. The air is life. So let's create a healthy, non-toxic, unconditionally loving version of the creator, of creation. Why not? We can. Are your beliefs serving you? If your belief in this conditional God who needs you to spend your whole life proving your self-worth and proving that you deserve to be here, proving that you deserve to take up space, proving to yourself that your self-expression is worthy or more or less worthy than someone else, that belief doesn't serve me. And ask yourself, are your beliefs serving you? Is your complete rejection and avoidance of some superpower, of a power greater than you that wants to assist you, that wants to create synchronicity and synchrodestiny and magic in your life? If that belief serves you, then let's create that. And yeah. So part of going deeper spiritually and having a felt experience of oneness and unity and wholeness in you, in your veins, part of that is purging beliefs that don't serve you and establishing a healthy environment, a healthy context, an inspired life such that you can experience unconditional love for yourself.
So if God is also expressing itself through you, it's this one unique expression of self. God is expressing itself through you in your unique form. So who you are in your most perfectly imperfect uniqueness is God. And to love all of you is part of that connection with Spirit. Is part of having a true connection with God is to love your wholeness, the good, the bad, the ugly, the shadow, the light. Because all of it is that unique expression of God coming through you in the way that you were born. There's nothing to change.
Okay, so next up is to look. People on the path, people that desire to deepen their spirituality and heal, sometimes fall into a trap, which is this addiction to healing and this addiction to making yourself a better person. Not that growing is bad, but if you're compensating, trying to be something you're not, then you're stuck in this endless loop of trying to prove yourself to yourself. So, you are God, and you are a completely unique expression of God. So the more you can choose a belief that puts you in alignment with self-love and sovereignty and emitting your own particular, infinitely distinct frequency and self-expression, the closer you get to God, because the closer you are to yourself, the closer you are to God. God meaning source, God meaning wholeness, God meaning all inclusive life. So a great way to deepen your spirituality is self-love. Self-love is the foundation. The degree to which you love yourself, the degree to which you forgive yourself for your imperfections, which are perfect because they're just growth opportunities, the more you go deeper into that, the more God, source, spirit blooms through you. And then the more permission you give to your friends, to your family, to your clients, to any human being around you to be their own unique expression of themselves. And you know what? Maybe that self-love process takes you to a concept of God or to spirit or to a higher power. Maybe it doesn't. For me, that works. So something important here is to not get caught up in the symbols or the concepts of that bring you to your wholeness. maybe religion or the word God or prayer, maybe that's just not your self-expression. All I'm pointing to is an opening, an expansion of your being such that your self-expression, your particular self-expression is valued as if it were gold, no matter what anyone says. And you know what? Uh, I have a lot of nephews and nieces, and so and I'm a godfather to one of them, to JP. And so I'm always thinking, well, like, what are seeds I can plant that will put them in alignment with all the things we desire as human beings? And one thing I always say is follow your joy, follow your bliss, follow your passion, and don't should on yourself. Because your parents, your sisters, your brothers, society, the 1%, the whatever, may try and convince you that you should choose this route because it's safe, because it's tried and true, because it will get you societal belonging and respect, right? And yeah, take that advice in, but also know that your joy, your starting life from the inside out and not the reverse, will avoid all kinds of regret and resentments and man, I did that because I felt like I should do that. Sometimes your should will align with your joy. I would say you should follow your ever expanding, ever evolving bliss and your joy and your heart. You will never regret that because you will be honoring your unique expression in this world, in this life, in this reality. So yes, follow your joy and your bliss responsibly. That doesn't mean do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want. That's a kind of avoidant, evasive kind of version of freedom. No, the kind of freedom I'm talking about is when you honor yourself and your joy and your intuition, your skin tuition, you'll never regret that. Yes, do it responsibly, and yes, work hard, but when you're following your joy, you're following your bliss, you're following the service that you're being called to offer your genius zone. And you do that responsibly with consistent work and devotion. It doesn't feel like work because you're doing your gift, you're doing your superpower, you're honoring your aliveness and God, Spirit, Source, as she is revealing herself through you.
And also one way to help navigate that, particularly in the way what we're moving into now, which is not survival of the fittest, but it's contribution, connection, and collaboration, is to ask the question, how can I serve? Rather, what can I get? And to connect, how can I serve, with what brings me joy. And that's actually a really great way to navigate, because a lot of us have a lot of passion and a lot of things we like to do, but when we can align, well, what do I love to do that I can actually contribute to the world at the same time, is a really great way to stay on path.
So, like Brother Matt Licata says, the path is everywhere. So no matter where you are, no matter where you're starting from, no matter what your life situation or where you live or what you do, know that that is the perfect place to be. And that's always the place we're going to start from anyway. So know that you are perfectly imperfect, and wherever you are, that's where the beloved is expressing itself through you. A great North Star for those that are wanting to live their passion, live their joy, make a living doing it, and be of service, because we all want to be of service, is to connect that which brings you alive. Those activities you do that when you do them, you lose a sense of time because you're so engrossed. And maybe you forgot about those. A lot of us stop, for example, drawing after we reach a certain age. So start creating or continue creating from your joy. That's stuff, those activities that bring you alive. And then you connect your genius, your superpowers, your infinitely distinct service, self-expression, contribution to what you're doing with your life. And ask yourself, where can my service that is in alignment with me and my joy, not with suffering and I gotta prove shit and be of service as a martyr to make a difference, and that'll get me into heaven and paradise and to connection and to the relationship of my... No. It's not a compensation. It's you're designing from the inside out, from your joy, and asking yourself, where can I give? Where can I be of service? Where can I be an impact? Because I am 113,000% sure that when you contribute to yourself and you contribute to your well-being, to your health, and you're giving from a place of abundance and overflow and fullness, that giving actually feels like receiving. When I work with people and I do one-on-one work or group work or spirit quest retreats, I sometimes just fall on my inner knees in gratitude that I get to do what I love and that brings me life, that makes me come to life, and that's a contribution to people, and that I get to make my living from my joy. That's like, boom. And you deserve that. You more than deserve that. There's a fertile field beyond ideas of do I deserve or not? Am I lovable enough? Am I too much? Am I too little? There's a green, fertile, all-inclusive field that the poet Rumi talks about. Let's meet there. Give yourself permission to go there. And you'll be contributing to everyone anyway. And paradise is here. It's not a means to an end. The living of your joy, of your passion, is paradise. Paradise is a state of being, a state of mind that you don't have to wait for. So wherever you are on that path is the perfect place to be, because that is your path. And start sowing the seeds, continue sowing the seeds in any area of your life where you want to grow.
Some practical things to just start doing that in a small way is prayer before meals.
Practical things that you can do to start putting yourself on that track is prayer before meals, or call it a gratitude moment before a meal, or at any point during the day.
And also creativity, dancing, singing, art, or engaging in art.
Or also creativity. Like I said earlier, some of us forget the importance and how vital to our health being creative is in whatever way. Dancing, writing, making music, going to other people where their superpowers to play music. Yours might be knitting, it might be traveling, it might be reading, it might be, your creativity could be, I want to start a family. Like anything that's creative, that's vital, that's in the moment, that brings you to life, engaging in those activities, even if no one ever reads it, and even if you don't want to make any money from it, the fulfillment and the success of being engaged in your own personal creativity is an end in itself, because it brings you joy and it brings you into the present moment.
And a final piece is, if you are struggling, you're not quite sure what your joy is. I know I struggled with that for a long time. I'm like, I love doing everything. What is the thing that I get lost in? A great place to go beyond mind, to go beyond self, is to be in direct service to another. So doing community service is a really beautiful way to bypass the ego, bypass the critical mind, and just be with another and give of yourself for no other reason than to give.
And a final piece would be, many beings don't know where their joy is because they haven't asked themselves that in years. Or maybe they were never asked that by their parents or by the people that raised them or by their brothers or their sisters. So you may be in a place where you're like, this is all great, but I have no idea where my creativity and joy is. Well, just take new actions, because new actions breed new results. Some of those actions may be a great place is to be in a community with other beings, and maybe that gives you anxiety or nervousness. Some call anxiety aliveness. And so putting yourself in positions where you get to interface and connect with other people. Perhaps it's community service. Perhaps it's babysitting your nephew that you feel uncomfortable around because you don't know how to relate to a child. Or perhaps it's doing something on your bucket list like travel. Travel is a form of self-love and self-affirmation of your true desires. Just get a little uncomfortable. And so the last thing I'll say, which is a practical thing, is the gratitude piece. Being in gratitude. Prayer is gratitude. Focusing on everything you do have, because if you're watching this video, you have a computer or a phone, probably means you have shelter, probably means that you never have to worry about where your next meal is coming from. You're probably in the top 1% of human beings on the planet that have more than enough, that have all their needs way more than met, and then have all these desires and wants that you're fulfilling too. Focusing on that, not from a place of like judging yourself, from a place of, damn, like there's so much in my life that is already working. My business is already off the ground, or it's about to, or I have enough money to invest in a personal development, spiritual empowerment course. Focusing on that, because what you focus on grows. I think that's a pretty standard realization, that what you feed grows. So one way to purge yourself of all that toxic shit that is muddying up your clarity, your knowing, that is sabotaging connections with others, with yourself, with self-love, with your passion, with your community, with maybe the partner you already have. All that stuff, a good way to purge that is to feed that which brings you life and that which is in alignment with you now. Just, you don't have to change or fix or blame game anything. Just walk away. Bless, 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 and walk away towards love, 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 feed love, feed love. And then eventually all this shit, it's not fed, so it just dissolves, it disappears. And it makes life a lot more pleasant, joyful, peaceful, with clarity, and with permission to shine and grow your superpowers and be of service and make the impact that you're here to make, not as compensation, just because you can. Thank you for letting me share that, and I hope that whatever I've shared today puts you in alignment with what's important to you. And now I'm going to show you this beautiful place on earth that is Lake Titicaca, Bolivia.